video for those of you who don't ride but who've thought about it and for one reason or another haven't taken that step yet. It might be that you're worried about it being dangerous, nervous that you don't have the skills or just can't do it. Or you might simply be overwhelmed by the choices in bikes and finding one that you're comfortable with. You might even be worried that you don't fit the biker mold. First, I wanted to tackle the dangerous aspect. Yeah, it is dangerous, but anything has the potential to be dangerous. But with the proper training, skills and protective gear, you stand a much better chance of never parting company unexpectedly from your bike. The gear I use, full face helmets that are DOT and preferably Snell approved. I do use a modular helmet primarily for convenience factor. It's just easier that the whole face flips up. But a note about modulars, they're not Snell approved. Jackets. I have 3 jackets. I have a leather and 2 textile jackets, one of which is a very lightweight mesh jacket for summer riding. All of them have CE armour in the shoulders, elbows and back. Boots, good motorcycle boots with oil-resistant soles and protection over the ankle. Gloves for both winter and summer. And I also use chaps, which are leather, and they're just for protection. So a note about training. When I first contemplated learning to ride and buying my motorcycle, I was a little bit intimidated. I looked at lots of bikes online, I watched lots of YouTube videos about how to ride a bike, and the more I looked at things and the more I read about cornering and counter steering, the more I was confused and just convinced I'd never be able to take a corner at anything more than a walking pace. Specifically, I wanted to be sure I could ride on a road and just be safe. So the smartest thing I did was to complete a 3-day beginner rider course here in Oregon with Team Oregon. This is the equivalent to the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. It takes beginner riders who may have never even sat on a motorcycle before through to creating competent, confident riders who have a really solid foundation and knowledge and skills that they can use immediately on the streets. Now, I recommend this for 2 reasons. First, you'll immediately be a safe rider with the knowledge and skills to avoid a wreck, always a good thing. And if you're not sure that motorcycling is for you, you have the opportunity to ride bikes that belong to the training unit without having to go out and buy one yourself. So if you decide it's not for you, no harm, no foul, all you're out is the cost of the course. But if you're bitten by the bug, you might find that you want something with a little bit more grunt than the 250cc bikes that you ride in the course, and you might end up going out and getting something a little bit bigger. I see many beginners who don't do the course go out and buy 250cc bikes and they really quickly outgrow them. So how do you find the right bike for you? The choices really are overwhelming. Broadly speaking, you have dual sports and sport bikes, and then you have custom bikes and cruisers, but you also have scooters. A little bit more about that later. My personal preference is for the cruiser. I just like the look of them. I can add saddlebags and a windshield and turn it into a tourer, or I can strip it down and have my bad boy Jimmy Dean machine. I can customize it and really create my one-of-a-kind bike. Now, the cruiser style bikes generally have a lower center of gravity, and many more of them have seats that are a little bit lower, making them really good choices for women or shorter guys. I just feel more stable and in control on a cruiser. Bottom line, if you're a beginner, sit on the bikes and find one that lets you put both feet down flat when stopped. This is super important to build confidence. The second thing to consider is the transmission. Most bikes are manual, of course, with 1 down and 4 or 5 up. This means that with the lever down as far as it'll go, you're in first gear. Up 1 click is neutral, and successive clicks up will put you in second, third, and so on. Tap down to change down. Some cruisers have a heel shifter. Most bikes have the toe shifter. Now, it does help if you've driven a manual transmission car before. You do understand the relationship between engine RPM, the clutch, and gearing, and you know when to change gear and the basics of how to do it. If you've never driven a manual vehicle before, you can learn. But if you're completely overwhelmed by the thought of having to change gears, you might want to consider an automatic. Think scooter. Now, I know most of you have images of little 50cc scooters that can't go more than 20 miles an hour flat out. Now, I'm talking a 650cc Suzuki that kind of looks like a sport bike with a lazy boy attached. This little rocket will eat up the highways and the twisties, and it'll fly along at whatever speed you throw at it. Because it's an automatic, it's just twist and go, no changing gears. It has ABS, tons of storage, including storage for 2 helmets under the seat, and a digital readout from everything from how much gas is in the tank to the mileage you're currently getting. And it'll happily go 2 up. Now, again, it's personal preference. I just find this to be too tall for me, and its centre of gravity is much higher than my bike. Because it's automatic, it decelerates differently to mine when I roll off the clutch. It just handles differently, and I just prefer my cruiser and all of the gear changing. A note about the biker mould. Perhaps you haven't started riding because maybe you don't think you fit the biker mould. Well, I'm a woman, I'm 5'5", learned to ride in my mid-30s. I don't have a tattoo, and the only things I have pierced are my ears. And I found the majority of other riders are just like me. We're nice folks who help each other out, we share ideas and tips, and we all enjoy the freedom of just jumping on our bikes and riding just for the sake of riding. So finally, once you've decided on a make and a model of bike you're interested in, go online and find a forum for that bike. You'll learn so much from the folks there, and you'll find out they're just like you. They're all wonderfully knowledgeable and supportive folks who really want to help you get the best from your riding and your ride. So, do a course, learn skills that will save your life, and get you started on this wonderful journey. You'll find out if motorcycling is for you. Then join a forum and learn from folks who know your bike best. You might even make some new riding buddies. That's it from me. Keep the rubber side down, and I'll see you on the twisties.